Welcome back everybody to R44's workshop, and today we're going to show you how to fit spacers primarily just for the G80 and the G82 and the G83. So this is a full how-to, uncut tutorial on how to fit them, mold the arch liner. I know most people don't want to do it, but you have to do it. These cars just don't have the tolerance within the arch liner for spacers and bigger wheels. So we're just going to show you the full how-to package with the BIMX spacers. Right, everybody, so this is what you order. So you go on our website, you place an order for the BIMX spacers, this is what you'll receive. Recommendations for the G80, the G82 and the G83 is a 12mm spacer on the front, a 15mm spacer on the rear, a 66.6 center bore and a 5x112 pattern on the kind of studs. I'm currently running on my M3 1515. It's quite aggressive, but I personally think 1215 is the best option. You'll also receive a package of longer extended wheel bolts, and these are the lock-in ones, and these are extended normal bolts. This is your stock lock-in wheel nut. This can be found on the left-hand side of your trunk, your boot. And then all you'll need is a 17mm socket and an extension, and a 19mm. The 19mm is primarily just for our lock-in wheel nut that we'll provide to you. You'll need some copper grease or some grease. This is really important because as the temperatures and weather changes, the corrosion happens between the spacer and the hub and the wheel, and you don't want these to be locked on. And then you just need, I use an impact gun, but you can just use a ratchet or whatever, torque run, and then we'll torque them up at the end. I also have a combi drill with a kind of grinder wire brush on it, because most cars you need to give them a good clean out. This car I think is 700 miles old, so we might not need to. We'll do it just for the video. Other than that, that's all you need. Common question. So this is your 15mm spacer. This is your 12mm spacer. There is a difference. The main reason is for BIMX to get the center bore correct and have enough strength for this spacer to pass their kind of quality controls, as well as TUV over in Germany and Europe, they needed to have a pressed insert for strength. So there is a difference, but when it's on the car you can't see it. There is a difference obviously with the knurled, but unfortunately that is all we can offer. But when in the car, you don't know any difference, and at the end of the day, all we care about is the performance of the spacer. We get a lot of questions, does it alter the ride quality? I wouldn't say so. And any other issues, we've had it on our cars for a year and a half on the G80. We've sold hundreds of sets, no complaints, as well as we sell spacers for every model all the time. But without further ado, let's get straight onto it. So impact gun, the 17mm socket and an extension. If you're doing it on the floor, just put a jack under here, jack up one side, but make sure you use a breaker bar, break your wheels. This is this is a Milwaukee kind of gun set at the same torques as the wheel should be, so it will undo everything. So I always start with the locking wheel nut first. You can just spin it on, do it with your hand first, find where it goes in, and then just do it. So we'll take that off. That's like that. So put that safely. So now I'm going to take these all off. So the wheel comes off, be very careful. As I said, this is a 700-mile-old car, so the hub is very clean. Slight bit of grease from BMW, again the same. So, but I'll show you for reference, whether this be a 10,000-mile-old G80 or if you live in a salty area. So wire brush, this is obviously we spec this to the size of the center bore. You just go in, give it a clean out, perfect. And then on the hub, just put that underneath there for now. On the hub, just go around, be very careful of your brake caliper. And just go around and just clean anything off that face. If you can get a little screwdriver, cut anything out of the groove in there. It's important this is clean. So we'll now go straight onto some copper grease. Copper grease has just been around obviously in the industry for years. There are some better greases, but we've always used it and it works really well. So you want it on all the tabs. I'll put some on the face as well. This is really important because all the cars that we kind of work on, they come back, let's say for spacers, they come in straight away from the factory, and then they come back for springs, and it's just so nice, the wheels just pop off. And then when you go to a tire shop that doesn't do this, you know, the wheels on, we're trying to knock it off, it's not good. So again, 12mm on the front. Look at that, glides on. You can move it around, that way it just spreads it evenly. Perfect, and again, just put it straight on that center bore there. I wouldn't be too shy with it. Obviously don't put too much on, because your copper grease is obviously, there's a thickness to it, and then your wheel and the spacer isn't fully bonded to the hub. So that's that. I always start off, you need 4 extended bolts. I always start off with 1, put this to the side, and like that. I'll take this off. Let's line this up. There's a few ways to do this. I just line it up like that. These wheels are nice and light. You can put 1 lug nut through, but I just line it up, perfectly lined up. You can give it a spin as well. Thread that in. Go in with your gun. I always leave them a little bit loose, so you can give the wheel a little wiggle round. Go in, and always, like a head, I always do everything in a star. Always going left to right, down and across. That's it. The last one's the locker, and then go in. Lock. So that's that. Don't ever drive on that, you need to torque them up. Changing over to a 19mm socket. Grab your locking wheel nut. So these are keyed. If you lose this or you need a replacement, just give our customer service line a kind of hit up or an email, and they'll take care of you. Again, they just lock in like so. If we can get it, there you go. So there is a 17mm at the top and a 19, but obviously the 17 is always going to wobble, right? I can always tell who uses the 17 because it's all rounded. I go straight in for the 19. It's got a place to hit up against, and it's sturdy. Important, go in like so. Done. So that is how you fit them. So now what we're going to do is show you how to mold the arches. I'm going to grab my heat gun and the required tools and show you how to do that, and then we're going to drop it on the floor and torque them up to the correct torque settings. All right, so now you find me with my groovy kind of tool. This is what I use, and I think it's a bit of effort to make it again for every user, but I would highly recommend, if you're doing it at home, get this. This is a 3x2 kind of bit of timber. The top bit is 60mm and the top bit is 45. You can do a nice cut if you had a chop saw, or I just used a hammer and broke it. But that is, it's long, but it gets the job done perfectly straight away. So this is what you use, and then what you want to do is, I use a heat gun. Worst case, you could use your wife or your hairdryer, whatever you want to use. But heat gun is best. You want to heat up. If you come around here, Dylan, let's see if you can see it. Let me move this wheel. So, what happens is, you can see it's quite tight, and obviously, you can't even get a finger in there. So when it rotates, about there, under load, this then touches here as well as it touches here, and you'll hear tut-tut-tut-tut. You know the ones? And then, depending on the tire, obviously this is on Pirellis, and then obviously you've got PS4Ss that don't rub as much, but less about that. So I'm going to heat up this area. So literally along this area here, along here, and heat up some of the fins. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat that up now. Let's just get straight into that. You give it a little wipe first. I did bring a cloth with me because let's say you had something that's flammable on your arch, it then equals a nice fire. Whereas this, I put a lot of heat in here before previously and it won't catch a light, but just be careful. Up and down. It's a bit of a long process, but it's just due to the tolerances inside these arch liners now. If you have aftermarket wheels, you have to do this even more, as well as a lot of people have now been cutting out these fins, but you don't want to do that if you can, because obviously those fins are designed to cool down the tires. So we'll go in there. But one thing as well, when you do this after, there is a slight amount of rub. Just try and find the rub, get it to rub, and then get out your car and see where it's rubbing. Because obviously, I've done this 200 times, whereas yourself, it's going to be your first and only time. So just take your time. So it's getting warm there. You see it's quite malleable now. Quite high temp. Shame I should have grabbed the heat gun and checked the temperature. But yeah, so that's nice and warm now. Let's throw this back into this position. Then you're going to get your wedge, put it down this line, and then turn your wheel and leave it like that. So now we're going to let that cool down, let's say 20 minutes, but touch it now, you can feel the heat in there. It should be, through my gloves, I couldn't keep my fingers there for more than 10 seconds. So nice and warm, because that, we need it hot enough to be pushed back and stay in that position. and that's it. That's, yeah, nice and snug. And you can see that wedge, why it works the way it does. So yeah, we're gonna leave that there now, and we'll drop the car down and showcase if there's no rub. But yeah, I think we should wrap it up there. What do you think, Dylan? Let that dry down. Any questions, let us know, but that is a full step-by-step on how to do it. It's a shame because you probably won't want to come to us anymore because you can do it at home. But yeah, if you guys want, if you're here in the UK, book it in. If you guys are in the US, find your local garage. Recommend watching this video because I know a lot of garages can fit spaces, obviously, but it's all about this final technique, which is really important. But yeah, guys and girls, as always, thanks for watching. Hit that like bell, whatever button down below, and check out what's next.